what we have as organic life forms. I think gemstones are a beautiful symbolism of the way life is. It's just that it's static. It's just that it's static. So this spiritite, this is called spiritite. Spiritite is one of the types of garnet. Spiritite is a beautiful orangish, yellowish gemstone, and I'll show you all different kind of varieties next time. That literally helps people get over insecurities. If you have insecurities in your life, if there is imbalances in your life, this gemstone is supposedly known to help you balance, help you gather some type of balance and stability in your life, and how to begin to see your life as one of abundance. Now, and when I say things like that, I want you to understand that that's not what I always believed. I told you many episodes ago, I did not come into metaphysics as someone who had experience in it or someone who worked with it. I dated someone who was really into it, but really, to be honest with you, half the time she was talking, I was like, whatever, girl, I'm a scientist. But it's only now that I'm beginning to understand, because being a storyteller, I begin to understand why the metaphysics works. And the metaphysics works not just because you understand the different chemical compositions and how those change and how those are things that happen within us. But the key thing to remember is that every gemstone that I present to you, the metaphysical properties of that gemstone is based on what you believe. So the garnet is the second anniversary gemstone. So therefore, what garnet brings to you, again, I said, passion, love, purity, truth, compassion, and those things together brings a consistency and a durability to your relationships. Isn't one of the characteristics of a gemstone is that it has to be rare, it has to be beautiful, and it has to be durable. The reason why garnet in New York is so important, why it is the world's largest mine in New York that ships all over the world, is because garnet is an abrasive. Garnet is so tough and hard. Again, there's a difference between hardness and toughness. Okay, diamonds are hard. They're the hardest substance on earth, natural substance. But what happens when you hit a diamond? When you hit a diamond, it breaks, it cleaves. That's why you can get different size diamonds. With a garnet, garnet has to be you have to shave it. You have to work against it. You have to sand it down. You have to polish it in order to get the gemstone that you see. So garnet is used as an abrasive because of its molecular structure, because of its durability. So when you buy someone and give someone a gift of a garnet, what you are wishing on them is that their relationship is filled with love and passion and truth and purity. That's what you want to happen in your relationship. So again, the purpose of this show every week is to begin to show how the things that we talk about as people, the things that we want in our life, there is a metaphysical aspect to it. There is a scientific component to it. And notice I don't have to talk about, and I hope to never really talk about on this show, politics, because this is a human thing. Notice when I said XY silicon, when I talked about, let's say on the group 1, you got magnesium, iron, manganese. Those are the things that make it different colors. So when you talk about Pyrope is the gem, is the garnet that everybody knows. It's one of those gems, is one of those elements that change to make it that color. It doesn't make a difference what your political views are. It is a chemical process that goes on inside of this gemstone to make that gemstone happen. When you begin to, and I'm not saying there's not controversies and hard and difficulties, but when you go into, when you start to think about your new beginning, you have to begin to understand that what you have to start to think, what are you going to put inside of you? What is it that you have around you right now that can move you forward in your life? Things or people who you didn't appreciate. You know, you didn't appreciate. I think about Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. I think about how when he got married to Kim, what, 8, 9 years ago, I mean, Kim was spectacularly beautiful. They had money, they had fame, they had everything, both of them. What happened along the line that he, well, he supposedly admitted that he, had these affairs and everything else on stage, in a song, whatever. So what did Kim lose her value? Whatever Kanye thought of her, maybe she, in his mind, maybe she was a pink garnet. Yeah, that's another color of garnet. Yeah, isn't that incredible? Maybe she was a savorite garnet. Maybe she was a blue garnet that changed colors. So when he was out there looking for rubies, when he was out there looking for emeralds, when he was out there looking for whatever gemstone that he didn't realize that what he had at home was everything that he was looking for out there. If we're going to, I've come to realize that so many things in my life that I'm doing now, it's only because I took a chance to think back and go, where was I once upon a time? And I think that's so important because, again, we last week I said there was 828,000 people who have died due to this pandemic. Whether you believe conspiracy, whatever, there was 828,000 people who are not here anymore. And some of our viewers who talked about their mom was one of those people, and God rest her soul, and my prayers go to you and your family. But she was one of those people. Now this week we're up to 842,000. So that means 14,000 people who are no longer here, who are no longer able to tell their story. So they are depending on you to tell their story. To tell their story, because that's how they will be remembered. That's how they will be appreciated. I have a whole different understanding about garnet because I won't say forced, but because I was required. I was required. Every time I do this show, it's so much fun because as my wonderful producer Barbara Beckley can tell you, sometimes I'll get on the phone half an hour and say, okay, what are we going to talk about next week? And it's so exciting because I see the analogies to not only just, I get so excited about something that I missed, something I didn't see, something I didn't appreciate before, and then I can make that analogy to my own life, to the things that I have right now. How does that work for you? I usually wait to the end, but let me tell you now, your homework assignment this week is to make a list. Make a list of the things of where you were. Just take a piece of paper, split it right in half. And on one side, think about just once upon a time. And then show, on the other hand, on the other side, where you are now. Did you get that big wheel that you wanted? And what happened? Did you get that G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip? Did you get it? What happened? Did you marry the person that you loved? Remember that? Remember when you loved that person? That and again, I've been married twice, so I know what I'm speaking. Remember when you married that person or you met that person? And that person was so beautiful and that person was everything you ever wanted in your life. What happened? So if we're going to start a life with that person, new beginnings, the first thing we have to do is we have to remind ourselves of where we are. This is what garnet looks like. This is one of the varieties of what garnet looks like. Garnet is used as an abrasive. It's used as an abrasive. Look at it. Since 1878, Barton Mines, world standards, and it truly is. This is the logo for the Barton Mine Company. And for all these years, they have been mining this gemstone. But in mining the gemstones, they found gemstones that look like this. They began, Mr. Henry Hudson Barton began to appreciate what he had, and he passed it on. So now the Barton Mines is still a family-owned business. So when you're thinking about new beginnings, new directions that you're going to take for whatever reason, take some time to kind of go back and just say to yourself and be pleased with yourself of where you are now, because once upon a time you weren't here. Once upon a time, I did not have a place. Part of my frustration with gemology for me was that we had all this information, all this, the whole history of mankind revolves around gemstones and precious metals, and yet there was no way for me to talk about it. There was no way for me to share it with other people. And now here, 18 years later, each and every week, I get a chance to share this, not to say I know this, because again, it's about research and study. I want you to appreciate why these little microcosms of who we are as people, why they are so popular. And if we take those same levels of appreciation, those same standards of value, and we apply it to ourselves, where would we be? Where will we be as people? Where will we be as a community? Where will we be as a country? Where will we be as a world? If we began to appreciate just so many different characteristics that you see in gemstones, that we readily accept in gemstones. We appreciate that a garnet is not a ruby. A garnet is not tourmaline. It's a garnet. It has its own world. It has its own identity. It has its own molecular structure. And a garnet, if someone gave you a garnet for any anniversary, if someone gave you a garnet, that means that love, that appreciation, they are saying to you, I appreciate you, I love you. So therefore, even though a garnet may not be a ruby, a garnet may not be an emerald, a garnet may not be a pink sapphire or pink diamond, it exists and it has value just on its own merit. And what it takes for us to realize that value is what? The story. It keeps coming back to, people ask me, how do I always come back to stories? Because that's what it is. It always comes back to the story. It comes back to me reading something, and then and any of us taking that information, processing it in your head, and taking a second to think about where does that fit into our lives. Where does that chemical, and because we're organic beings, when I say chemical, I'm talking about where's that education, where that person, where's that community, where that neighborhood, where that action, where that job, where did all those things that are not only part of your who you are, your molecular structure, but also those are the things that facet you to make you into who you are. The thing, this is a very bright garnet. When you see it, even though it is black, and black again is not a color, it is literally the absorption of all the other color. The thing that gives this color, this garnet, this species of garnet, its color, it's titanium. Titanium, which is a metal. So the titanium of this, in fact, this garnet is actually often mistaken for. It's called. Oh my God, I think it's called hematite. Hematite, because hematite, if you know what hematite looks like, hematite has that metallic glow. This garnet has that same level of luster. So it is the titanium that's in this gemstone that gives it its black color. It gives it its richness that makes it different than all the other garnets. And so therefore it exists not because its value is built in what it is. And the only way other people will see its value is once you understand its story. Most of you have never even known that garnets come in all these colors. Now, because of today, because of what I shared, and some people did, but there are a lot of people who didn't. But now people who are born in this month are sitting there saying, wow, I didn't know. I didn't know that this gemstone exists, that garnets come in all these varieties. So how can you make that analogy to yourself? What is it about you that your loved one doesn't know about? In a good way. What is it about your loved one that you knew about, or maybe you forgot? What made him or her special? What is it about yourself that makes you special? And the only difference, the only thing that you need to do in your life, is to value that. I often think about, and I told you earlier, and there's people that know me laugh all the time, that when I say that my ex-wife told me that I was a fountain of useless information, this is what she was talking about. She was telling me that all this stuff, because I was married to her when I was going through gemology school, so all this stuff that I was talking about to her was just, for what? Why are you learning this stuff? This is ridiculous. I was a fountain of useless information. I think about that because obviously not. Obviously not. I understood what she was saying, and I understood the insult of it, what she meant by it. But again, by taking a step back, year after year after year after year. I didn't just get here yesterday. I mean, just like, oh, here I am. I haven't been here for a long time, but just because of this journey that we take together, I'm not only learning more about gemstones, I'm also learning about me. I'm also learning about myself, learning about the people around me, learning about things that I've done in my life, good and bad, because I now look through the lens of something that is highly valued, which is called gemstones. Because when you break it down, we are all molecular formulas. It's just that gemstones are static and we are fluid. but the science is science. And because the science, if iron makes this green or makes this red, what does iron do to us? If what does education do to us? What does being in love with someone who cares about us and we care about them? How do all those things, all those different facets come together to bring us value, to help us along our story? So again, happy birthday to all the people born this month. We're going to be talking more about quality and garnets next week. And again, my name is Barry B. Mixon. I am a gemological storyteller. And today and every day, please take some time to look at yourself, look at the people around you, and begin to discover the value of your story. Au revoir. A bientôt.